this past week. Some shockers, some upsets, some blowouts. You had a little bit of everything. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but we will give you our picks for Week 7 Game of the Week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you saw last week, we gave you a couple of the games we liked. I think Delilah hit the Bills and the Titans. I hit Jacksonville's first win, and Nick talked about the Bears and the daggone Packers who beat us too. So I don't need to talk about that. We're not talking about that today. All right? Let's go. But Nick, I'm going to lead off with you and probably the most shocking game of this week, and a game I would have picked had you not picked it. Cincinnati beats the Baltimore Ravens 41-17. Nick, what you got, man?
We're about to lose Nate now.
Yeah.
Nate, if you are watching, please exit the premises. You're not going to like what you hear for the next few minutes. This was a great, and I told you guys, and this was one of my picks for last week, if you remember correctly. I told you Cincinnati was getting 6.5 points, and that, I mean, I thought it would be closer than this, no doubt, for sure. But Cincinnati proved, and I told you, who did I tell you all to look out for? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Let me tell you something, brother, as Hulk Hogan might say back in the day. These guys connected. Just to show you real quickly, Jamar Chase had 8 receptions for 201 yards and a touchdown.
Woo!
Mind you, one of them was an 82-yard pass that he dipped and dived around and got into the end zone on, which was great. But it's just to show you, man, these guys have not lost a beat since college. They're on the same page. And, you know, that's an average of 25 yards each catch for Jamar in that game. That's pretty good for a wide receiver. Wow. I mean, yeah, you got 8 receptions, you got 201 yards. But, yeah, and you found the end zone. And that's, I mean, what more could you say? I mean, these two – but the thing is, here's the great thing about Cincinnati. We're talking about Joe Burrow and, you know, Jamar Chase, of course. But how about, like, probably the most underrated tight end right now? I think the guy's got like 5 touchdowns in the season. C.J. Uzoma had another 2 touchdowns in this game. I mean, he had 3 targets. He caught 2, right? Yeah. He saw 3 targets and had 3 catches for 91 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I know, I'm an idiot. I benched him because they were like he wasn't going to carry this game, and I said, "Great, right. I'm going to ignore."
It's one of those things. Their offense. When you look at Cincinnati, now this is the thing. Like, I thought they would come into this season again. Burrow coming off the injury, he eventually find himself. They'd have a pretty good. I thought the offense would be pretty decent. But man, when you can throw 2 touchdowns to your tight end, have both your running backs average around 50 yards each between Samaje Perine and Joe Mixon. They each combined, I think, between the two of them, they had 100 and something yards. Where is it at here? I had it in my little stat thing. 59 yards and 52 yards respectively. So they each ran for over 50 yards. So that's some good production from the running back. It's over 100. It's 110 yards, 11 yards. Your quarterback is throwing at a 23 for 38 for 416 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have the 1 interception, but obviously that did not matter. Again, Jamar Chase again with 8 receptions to 201 yards. So your offense is clicking on all cylinders, my friend. And that's a scary thought for that AFC in general, because as you guys were talking off the air before we went on, it's kind of up for grabs now. The front runners have all fallen.
Yeah.
The Chiefs, the Bills are there, but again, the Bills are proving that they can be beaten too. So,
what does it say about Baltimore?
Well, with Baltimore, again, Baltimore is a victim of what we have talked about all along, and that is they live and die with Lamar Jackson on offense. They really do. And look at he said, "Listen, I already ranted last night. I threw everything but the kitchen sink." That was okay, Nate. Sorry. But this is just to give you some stuff here. Jackson was limited through the air in this one. Definitely was. Completing just 50% of his passes for 238 yards and the 1 touchdown he had. And again, so what happens? He's running around. He's trying to make plays. Again, look at these rushing yards for these guys. Le'Veon Bell, 5 rushing yards. 8, he missed tackle. He missed a couple tackles. He forced guys to miss a few tackles. Devontae Freeman, only had like 15 or so yards. Tyson Williams, like these guys, it's not happening. If it doesn't, if Lamar Jackson isn't firing on all cylinders, they're not firing on all cylinders. Yeah, and that's a damn shame because this is a good team.
What up, Dave?
All right, Dave, have a good one, buddy. Thanks for saying hi. But yeah, so I mean, so this makes you so when you look at all that, you go, yeah, Cincinnati really kicked their butts, and they did on all levels, on defense, on offense. This was just a complete butt kicking. Now again, they're tied; they're all 5-2. But does Baltimore going forward? What do? They need to get some guys healthy. They need to get. I mean, we've been saying this every week. It seems like Lamar Jackson needs help. The poor guy is trying to do it all himself, and it's just collapsing around him at certain times. And this was one of those weeks where it just collapsed around him.
Yep.
He got no help on offense. He only had the one touchdown. Like I said, he threw for 238 yards, but yeah, it didn't happen for Lamar. And so I just this was the game. But the reason I picked it for my game of the week is because I think this has announced Cincinnati now as a contender. I think we can safely say going forward that they're legit. They're 5-2, and they're rolling. They're all, again, Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase. You're going to hear that a lot, I think, the rest of the year, because that's going to be just one of those deadly combos that you're just going to hear about every week. Because it doesn't matter. You can put your best guy on, the guy's still going to catch the ball. It's just the way it is. It's incredible to watch. I love it. Again, I may have to become a Bengals fan. Like, these Bears are killing me. I'm faithful, but man, I'm going to have to start rooting for Cincinnati. I'm telling you, it's killing me.
Oh, yeah.
It's killing me.
I get that completely.
Yeah. So my game of the week
I get
was
that completely.
Making a statement, beating those Baltimore Ravens, 41-17, of course. Again, with a great performance from Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Cincinnati 5-2. They're on fire, baby. They're on a roll. And that's my game of the week.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, man. That and I think that's going to say a lot about the AFC North. You got Nathan just kind of. I'm glad you're still with us, Nathan. I appreciate.
Right.
I appreciate you being with us. This is therapy for you. You've said it on your show many, many times. And look, we're going to go ahead and keep this thing rolling with another game that actually. That Baltimore-Cincinnati game, I mean, they had huge implications in the North. Cleveland, somehow, Delilah, somehow they beat Denver. I don't know how.
I'm telling you.
What's up, Delilah?
I think they were like, I don't know any really analysts, maybe one or two that were like, Cleveland's going to win. Almost everything that I read, right, the percentage, the odds were all in Broncos' favor because the Cleveland is playing their third string quarterback, first of all. Not even their backup, because he's hurt too. This is their third string quarterback with Keenum, and they made him look like a stud. Like, he had a 91 passer rating.
Really?
That was crazy. Okay, so they just, he has one touchdown, 199 yards, 90.3 RTG. Excuse me. Ooh, I said 91, but still, right? So,
right.
He was 21 for 33. And again, that's crazy. Like, I honestly, I don't know what happened to the Broncos defense, but there is no reason why they should not have been putting pressure on Keenum. Oh, people, not mention that Cleveland was down their two studs in Chubb and Hunt.
Right.
So
hurt.
And Mayfield.
Yeah.
So they didn't have Mayfield, but also like Mayfield. I was trying to compare like kind of Mayfield and Case Keenum. Like really, and then Chubb and Hunt also hurt. No reason whatsoever that Cleveland should have won that game. And then they did. And Mayfield was celebrating on the side because he could take over with the win, right? When he comes back, because he's not out for a long time. So he could just be like, all right, cool, thanks. You gave me a solid, Broncos. Now I can kind of continue, But yeah, so that was it. And obviously we know that another person that really helped win that game was Dearness Johnson. He had 22 carries for 146 yards and 1 touchdown. Let me tell you, this guy has stepped up for the injuries that are playing Cleveland, okay? That guy has stepped up 100%. And that's the touchdown that, won the game, really. Because, because the score was 17-14. So right there, that one pass to one person was the big difference in this game. It's like, but enough that it mattered. However, this is why for rushing is really what hurt Denver. They had 14 carries, right, in rushing with just 41 yards, okay? And then when they went long in rushing, they only went 7 yards.
Oh, wow.
No touchdowns from your rushers. And then when you compare Cleveland's number, their carries for their rushers, and they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys rushing on Cleveland's side versus 3. You know who one of the 3 were that rushed on Denver's side? Teddy.
Right, Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Javante only had it was bad. Javante only had 20 yards. Melvin Gordon III only had 18 yards. We just said Dearness Johnson had 146 yards. John Kelly, who I have no idea who that is, had 13 yards. Demetric Felton had 13 yards. Case Keenum himself put up 7 yards.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, the rushing on Cleveland side saved them because they had 182 yards versus Denver's 41. Okay? That is sad. It's 182 rushing yards versus Denver's 41 yards, right? So
Denver
right there.
The running game, we know that though. I mean, they rely on the pass.
What's happening with Denver?
Well,
they got Devontae Williams, but
we have a spammer.
Do we?
Yeah, I see it in the comments.
I
can't ban from here. Okay, so right there, the rushing killed. Right, because their receivers and Cleveland side, they were okay. But they did have, they had 1 touchdown from Stanton, right? So, they had one, but they were pretty even when it came to receiving. And when you look at Denver's numbers and Cleveland's, their receivings were pretty much about the same. So really, the way that Cleveland was able to beat them is they ran the ball more. Right, we've talked about how important it is to have a really good running game because they eat up so much of the yards, right?
Yeah.
That it puts you within, passing, right, to get a touchdown, right? And so, so there you go. So Cleveland won a game that honestly wasn't really supposed to be winnable, and so
they won a game.
So now, we saw them winning with Mayfield, but really this should have been a loss, and it wasn't, right? So now what you have is that Cleveland in the AFC North is 4-3. Baltimore and Cincinnati are tied 5-2, and Steelers, because they won, are 3-3. And so now
Pittsburgh plays Cleveland this week.
See what I'm saying? Those divisional games, we know those divisional games are, And so right there, the AFC North doesn't belong to anyone right now, as far as I can tell. And that, and that AFC is getting that AFC top seeds, which is why we talked about, even though I shared those projections, it was from the NFL Network, and I was like, hey, what do you think? These are the projections, right? And that's why we were right versus the NFL Network that we probably have to wait till week 10. Right?
Oh, we said week 10 should give us a lot, right? Week 10.
Yeah. But I was just sharing how it is now, right? We're just looking at basic numbers. And so the NFL Network is like, okay, this is what the playoff pictures look, right? If these people stay where they are, right? And so, And so basically we were correct on Let's Talk Football is that a better barometer is week 10. So there you go, NFL Network. Yeah, we're better analysts. Anyway. Anyway, so that's why that was. I know. Oh my God, that's your job. What am I doing?
I know. You go, girl. Go. Take
Anyway, but that's the reason I picked that one as game of the week, and I only just realized that we picked like people from the same division, but that's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so there goes that AFC North is up for grabs, guys. Sorry, like right, it's not.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of those divisions that we talked about before that might go all the way to the end, right? Like week 16, week even 17 probably. But
I see it happening, yeah.
So there you go. Game of the week.
I agree. I like that, Delilah. Yeah, no, I absolutely like that. And I think that's turning into one of the most exciting divisions with the emergence of the Bengals. You know what I mean? We already know what the Browns and the Ravens are going to do. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting, and I'm eager to see. And another division that's a lot less interesting, but I'm sticking in the AFC. My pick for game of the week happened on Sunday night. The Colts beat the 49ers 30-18. The reason why I picked this, this makes the Colts number 2 in the AFC South.
Okay.
You know, and they got Tennessee ahead of them, and obviously you got Houston and Jacksonville below them. So it's a good. It makes them feel a little better. The Colts, they've been in games. They played the Rams and lost to them by 3. So they've been close, and we've seen how good the Rams are. But they had a rough opening to the season. In this game, they played a team. First and foremost, the beginning of this game was like the monsoon bowl. I mean, it was raining it was raining cats and dogs. It was crazy out there. And I talked about this on Let's Talk Football. The football weighed like 10, 15 pounds, trying to throw that from left to right. But you know what? Carson Wentz he's shown me something. He's not doing anything that leaps off the page, but he's still contributing. He's getting the job done. I mean, in this game alone, he only had 150 yards passing, couple touchdowns, but he also had a rushing touchdown, which proved key in this ball game. Carson, it's not as much his play that I'm excited about. It's the fact that he's with the same coach that helped him when he was with the Eagles. Frank Reich and him have a very close connection. And let's not forget, before that injury, where Nick Foles obviously came in and took over the Eagles, before that injury, they were 11-2, in Philly, and and Wentz was MVP form. So he's definitely not. Yeah, he's definitely not playing that. I do not want to even have that out there. He's not playing MVP form right now. But I'm saying the guy can still ball. And the number one thing, we always talk about the number one thing that a struggling quarterback, the number one thing that helps out a struggling quarterback is what? Running game. A running game and a solid defense. You know what I mean? He's got Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is balling out, getting the job done. Another 100-yard game this week, just 107 and a touchdown and 18 carries. But having that consistent running game and then having a solid defense, we cannot sleep on the Colts D. This game, they only had a couple sacks, but they had 2 interceptions and 3 forced fumble recoveries. So the defense is showing up. The defense is playing, and now again, they're 3-4. I'm not going to sit here and jump off the roof and yell from a mountaintop that these guys are the AFC's best, because we've seen they're middle of the road at best. But a lot of this game has to go to the fact that there's a lot of things going on in San Francisco. Starting with that quarterback situation, they're not dealing with the number 1 running back. Elijah Mitchell got 100 yards, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's not top 10, top 15. He's not, top 20. You know what I mean? He gets the job done, but that's because of that offense, and the offense is a running offense. And Deebo Samuel, 7 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. He'll do what he does. He's going to get his yards regardless, and I have to shout him out. But San Francisco is definitely struggling without a George Kittle. They're struggling to find who's the next guy to take the reins, to take a little bit of pressure off Deebo. Jimmy G, he's playing like he's looking over his shoulder. You know what I mean? And I don't know why, because Trey Lance, when he got the opportunity to play, he didn't shoot the lights out. He didn't dominate. You know what I mean? We weren't sitting here saying Jimmy who. We were saying, well, let's see what happens with Jimmy when he comes back. You know what I mean? So I think San Francisco definitely cannot afford to lose this, but they're on a downswing right now, and I'm almost kind of close to saying, you know, maybe y'all need to look at next year. You know what I mean? It's a struggle, but the Colts are definitely in the upswing.
For sure.
Yeah,
the Colts got a big game this week. They play Tennessee this week, so
right.
Got a chance
so the
to
next
prove
3 games
this week, Sean.
They got Tennessee, and they got like either Houston or like the Patriots or like they're the Jets. Like they got Tennessee, like the Jets, and then Buffalo. So they got a huge 3-game stretch. So, but like we say with the Tennessee game, it's a divisional game. It's a divisional game, and this will definitely help the Colts to move up. So let's see if their defense can do it. But obviously, we've seen what the Titans can do. Buffalo in a couple weeks, we already know how that goes. Unless there's any injuries, I can see Buffalo winning that. But that middle game, I definitely see the Colts winning. Like you guys said, if we're going to Week 10, if we're waiting until Week 10, then I think the Colts by that time will be up to at least 500, if not having a winning record, and they're going to make some moves in this season. So, yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. So, oh yeah, got to show love to my Colts. Got to show love to my Colts. So we have to move on, and we're gonna move on now.